The next expansion, Update 38, the Corsairs of Umbar, finally has its first beta, and in this video, as always, I'm gonna go through all the most important changes. So when it comes to all the new landscape, Denaria already did all his previews of the new zones. I'm not gonna spend too much time looking through the different zones and see what they look like, but I'm here in Ghynghyn. I just want to show you where it seems like the quests will begin. The first quest, restoring the lighthouse, should set you on the right trail for doing the quests and leveling up. And as we know, the epic story is currently at Itemtreasury in LOTRO, where Aragorn and company is currently chilling, waiting for the update to go live. So this is where I believe the epic will start. Of course, the epic is never on Bullroarer. It will only become available once the update goes live. But this is where the normal quests seem to begin, the quest lines that will take you through the new zones. One thing that we do have though is some screenshots of the maps thanks to Herok in the Ghyniverse in my Discord server. So this is one of the zones in Outer Gondor, Anfalas is one of the zones. We have a few other screenshots of maps. Of course, this is King's Gondor West with the Bell Palace where Dol Amroth is and everything else. As you can see, the mountain pass has opened up, so this is brand new compared to the old Gondor. We have Blackroot Vale, and as we can see, they kind of messed up the name here. Tarling's Crown should be on this side, not on this side, but I'm sure this is something that will be fixed before the update goes live. We have a map of Lamadon. There's the other zone in Outer Gondor, which is further west than we've ever been before in Gondor. Ghyn is the other zone, of course, with the Anfalas zone. And then, of course, we have the Shield Isles of Umbar, looking like this. This is the map of the Shield Isles. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 boat travels to these locations. When it comes to Umbar itself, you are able to access the city, but the content for the city is not quite ready. And there's also no map of the city. Another thing worth mentioning is that the reputation for Western King's Gondor and Outer Gondor will be the renewal of Gondor that we already are able to earn reputation for. So if you're someone like me who have quested, actually done all the quests in these zones, done all the deeds, then you should be pretty much maxed out on your rep. So for Western King's Gondor and Outer King's Gondor, we are still going to be using the renewal of Gondor. When it comes to the Shield Isles and the city of Umbar, there will be a reputation faction called the Citizens of Umbar Baharbel. One thing that is always fun to do when you have new expansions and a lot of new items is to load up the Itemtreasury scanner and kind of scan through the new items to see if there's anything cool and new. So that's what I'm going to try to do. There's some coffers, some different rewards. Are these going to be the rewards for the next reward track, I wonder? Red painted skeleton mount, the young moose, frost tusk youngling. Seems like reward track for the next season, possibly. There's some normal items down here. Seafarer's symbol, mariner pocket item, some new crafting items, probably with the crafting refresh. Items like these are usually quest items, and this is where we come across the first type of gear. I'll be talking about these essence slots later in the video when I get to the essences. For now, I'm just gonna quickly look through these. Seems like the gear is pretty normal. Seems like your typical questing and leveling up gear. Not gonna spend too much time looking at everything. I'm gonna scan through this. Some new jewelry as well. Also has the new essence slots that we'll look at later. Some housing items right there. Elvish Pavilion. A lot of questing items, I guess. This is possibly new food. It looks like it has placeholder values like the old food, but this is probably the name of the new food that we're going to get. It's probably going to be changed. Get some better stats. Some more gear, and this seems to be mariner gear for like lower levels throughout the game. So different kinds of mariner gear right there. And on this page, we're finding a lot of port skills. Return to the Order of the Eagles. There's going to be an Order of the Eagle in Umbar. Return to Umbar. Return to Dol Amroth. Return to Jack's Fanel, which is the Shield Isles, I believe. Return to Halrax. That's the Shield Isles. I don't know about Jack's Fanel. Maybe this is it's the Cape of Umbar. Return to Lon Kirion. and return to the Ledger's Keepers. That's also umbar. So from what I've seen, Ledger's Keepers and the Order of the Eagle seem to be two factions where you can actually earn some rewards in umbar, but they're obviously not implemented yet into the game. We can still see some previews from the Itemtreasury. And further beyond, we have the Warden Muster and the Hunter Guide, etc. Seems like we have a few housing items, ornamental sea jewel display, the Allure of Umbar Baharbel, captivating sea stone display. We have sail 2 skills for the Mariner, Scroll of Umbari battle lore, so new crafted items. Of course, we're gonna get new scrolls, new hope tokens, new food, new everything. See some of the new jewelry as well. Quite a lot of housing items showing up here. A lot of housing items. I wonder if they're new. They're probably new, but I'm not a housing expert. New coffers for the Ember armor, the max level of 150, which is something that always gets added to the game when there's a new level cap. There's obviously going to be new PvMP gear with Audacity on, and there's and what seems to be PvMP essences as far as I can tell. Target type Essence of War. Yeah, it seems like PvMP essences. And on this page we actually see some pets. Let's see if we can find them in the pets on the collections panel. So there's supposed to be a lion cub. Lion? Oh. The lion cub is going to be a pet with umbar. Available from the Order of the Eagle Allegiance. So Order of the Eagle is an allegiance. So allegiances will have the lion cub. Home of the wily Maka something. The wily Maka is not in the pet collections yet. The crocodile hatchling. Crocodile hatchling is actually there. You can have a full-grown crocodile you can have as a pet. It's pretty cool. So a lion and a crocodile can be pets. And the Umbari Huorn. Someone in the comments, let me know what the wily Makage is or whatever. I can't pronounce that name, but I'm quite interested to know what this is. Home of the Umbari Huorn. Let's see, Huorn. There's no Umbari Huorn yet. So the crocodile hatchling is available for barter from the City of Umbar rewards. Quartermaster in Umbar. So normal umbar quartermaster, while the lion cub is from the Allegiance, the Order of the Eagle. Interesting. We have what seems to be some more Morse items, Ettenmores. Get past those. There's some jewelry from the what seems to be the Order of the Eagle. Order of the Eagle Ring of Fortifications. This seems like the Allegiance stuff might be good. Might have some good rings. There's some more food, but the stats are probably still placeholder. There's jewelry selection boxes from the Order of the Eagle and the Ledger's Keepers. So we know that the Order of the Eagle will be a allegiance. It's possible that the Ledger's Keepers will also be an allegiance then as well. There's some more crafting items, some crafted weapons it seems like. These are PvMP things, blessings. Mariner flutes will be added throughout the game for the Mariner when this update goes live. Now it seems we're coming upon the Ember gear. So this will probably be the items that will be tuned to be Ember gear for level 150. More Ember gear weapons. There should be shields as well. Mariner crafted flutes recipes as well. More of the class consumables. That seems to be the end of most of the new items I could see in the Itemtreasury scanner. Obviously, there's going to be items that I don't see here, but those were some of the new items I could find. I leveled up my Minstrel to level 141 for some testing, and I was able to get some Humble, Flickering, and normal, I guess, essences for Umbar. This is the new essences, probably the best essence on release, and then we'll get Heal later on as usual. These are the stats of those essences. I also grabbed a box of light armor for the Ember gear. So I believe this is scaled to your level. Let us just look at this cap. Minimum level 141. Just going to go ahead and select this and see what this looks like. So minimum level 141. I believe this means that this will be considered level 150 gear. and it seems pretty strong, at least compared to what I had from before. Kind of like double the stats from my Morse helm. That was just a quick example of essences and the new Ember gear. When it comes to our virtues, for a level 150 character, the virtues will increase from 86 to 90. So once you get to level 150, the max cap for your virtues will be 90. And then possibly in the future it might increase depending on the content we get released. Another reason that I wanted to level to level 141 is because of the legendary items, and legendary items are quite interesting this expansion because it's the first real transition from a level cap to another where we actually are gonna do this the intended way. When you get to level 141, that's the first time you can reforge, another reforge when you get to 146, and then when you get to level 150, eventually as they release more content throughout the level cap, the legendary enhancement limit will increase as usual. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the reforge and reforge my sword and also reforge my book, and we're gonna look at the enhancement level. Let's look at my book. You'll notice that the UI can move around the UI more on the legendary items with this update, but also worth noting that it can break. It's not perfect yet, but eventually it should look good, but for now it can definitely break, so still some tuning left to do there. But looking at the item level, so reforging this is item level 515. So if we're following the same formula as Gundabad, the item level range for the level 150 will be item level 500 to 549, just like Gundabad was 450 to 499. So I think it's probable that the item level will be 515 with the 146 reforge as well, but I think your healing rating will increase, or your DPS rating, whatever is on your LI. But it seems like 515 will be the initial item level for our legendary items upon release. But important to notice that the Gundabad traceries have an enhancement limit of 499. So as we can see, we are not able to level this tracery beyond 499, which will only impact our secondary stats. So obviously I have a gold AoE target count tracery on my minstrel, giving me 4 extra targets for my AoEs. And then I have a mastery stat, secondary stat. If I get it up to 515, this stat will increase quite a bit, but obviously I can't take my gold tracery any further. So if you take a look at my sword and my single target attack damage, I already have my gold tracery from Gundabad, but obviously I can't take it beyond this level. So I went ahead and bought a purple single target attack damage for Umbar. As you can see, the Umbari tracery has a limit of 549. And of course the maximum level 160. I'm going to try to equip this instead of my single target attack damage. You'll see that the enhancement level changes. Automatically the tracery gets leveled to 500, and then all that is missing is 15 slots to max out the stats. I'm going to go ahead and see the difference. You can see that the single target attack damage was 2200, was it 2600? Maybe I've maxed out. So I maxed out this, and you can see that the mastery is higher, but obviously the single target attack damage is less. So the choice will always be, if you're upgrading a gold Gundabad tracery to a purple or a yellow or even a teal, you're gonna go down on your main bonus, but your stats will be higher. So the question will always be, are you willing to sacrifice parts of this bonus or more stats? So basically what it's gonna come down to is for every single person to consider if they are willing to give up some of the main bonus for some increased stats. That's going to be the case for every single tracery, and it's up to each player to decide. What do you think? Would you give up some Call of Fate critical multiplier percent damage for some increased critical rating stats, or would you rather keep the damage bonus? One good example where you would probably just get a purple right away is, for example, the Echoes of Battle Resistance rating debuff. You don't really care that much about this main buff, but you would get more finesse if you replace the Gundabad one with a Umbari one. So each tracery will be down to each person to decide if they want to replace But this is how it's going to work. Gundabad traceries will not be able to be leveled beyond 499. To get your traceries to 500 and higher, you will have to replace with an Umbari tracery. We have an absolutely fantastic change to the legendary items and how the enhancement runes work. As we can see from the screenshot on the right, these are yellow enhancement runes for level 141. So the new tier of enhancement runes. And the max enhancements we're going to go to on this level cap will be 549. As we can see, the limit even of the yellow enhancement runes is 549. This means in theory that you can use the yellow enhancement runes and take, for example, this single target attack criticals all the way from 500 to 549 by applying 49 yellow enhancement runes. So any type of enhancement rune can be used to level your tracery slot now. And you might ask yourself, what's the point with purple, teal, and gold runes? Well, it's really simple. The yellow enhancement rune will level your tracery slot by 1. If you get a purple enhancement rune, it will level your slot up by 2. A teal will level up your slot by 3, and a gold will level up your slot by 4. So an excellent change to the legendary item grind. We had a problem with the level 140 cap where the gold enhancement runes that people had been saving up for a long time were pretty much worthless because we were allowed to reforge up to gold level towards the end of the level cap, and they were basically useless, and all that time people spent working for those gold enhancement runes was kind of put to waste. So this is an excellent change. Any type of 141 enhancement rune can level your tracery from 500 to 549. The only difference between the runes now is that the higher rarity will level up more levels every time you put it on. Just overall, really good change for legendary items. With this update comes a change to the reputation tab, where you can see all your progress with the different reputation factions. And the change here is that this is now alphabetically ordered, and there's been some backlash for this change. People kind of prefer the old order, where it's kind of like, I believe, ordered after level and when the factions were introduced, so they might revert this change, but for now the reputation factions are ordered alphabetically. Quick mention about some of the weekly quests. This is from the live servers. As you can see, I'm on a continuing mission weekly. I'm 22 out of 45 on my Guardian. On beta, these quests will change. I don't have the mission weekly anymore. It means it's reset and it's now available for level 150. So you'll still be able to get the mission quest as soon as you do a mission. But keep in mind, any progress you have on your mission quests will reset with the release of update 38. Another thing worth mentioning is that the Karndum and Gundabad weeklies no longer give you embers, they now give motes. But also worth noting, they still give the virtue XP. So if you ever plan on doing these 140 instances, if you're at level 150, there's some virtue XP to gain from doing that. The delving weeklies are also still a thing, and seems to be a good source of embers. Same goes for the missions. So it's quite possible that the delving weeklies and the mission weeklies will be a good source of ember early on in the expansion. With update 38, we're also getting a new featured instance rotation. So what's going to be in this rotation? As you can see already, Houd Valendale will be there. We will also have the Ghynghyn instance, Woe of the Willow, as well as Agoroth. The Narrow Delve will also be part of the rotation. Stoneheight will be part of the rotation. And finally, we'll have Ost Dunoth, Gorthron Wing will be the final part of this new featured instance rotation. Some news about crafting as well. The Umbari crafting is showing in the bars, but all of these recipes are placeholders for now. But as we heard before, they were not able to make the Umbari tier a standalone tier. So in order to access the Umbari tier, you have to complete all the tiers previous in order to unlock the Umbari finally. So if you want to get to the Umbari crafting, you'll have to level all the previous tiers of your crafting. You cannot simply skip to Umbari as was their intent. There was some old coding in crafting they couldn't bypass, so that was not made possible. So unfortunately, you have to do all the tiers before to unlock Umbari. Mariner instruments should now be added throughout the game to all the tiers. On the other hand, you are now finally able to select which professions you want for your craft. So obviously I'm going to keep my metalsmith and my prospector because I put so much effort into them. But my tailor is not leveled, so we're going to see how this works in practice. You can talk to a master or mistress of apprentices, and you then get the option to forget and learn something new. So let's say, since I'm already a metalsmith and prospector, what if I can get weaponsmith as well? That would be pretty nice and kind of good pairing with my prospector. I'm gonna try to forget the tailor and learn weaponsmith. So forget an old craft profession and learn weaponsmith. Do you want to learn the weaponsmith profession? Yes. And I would like to replace tailor. Train. Yes, I will lose all recipes and crafting experience. So be careful, make sure you select the right one. And boom, I am now a weaponsmith. So this is really nice, really handy. You can now select freely which 3 professions you want. Really good change. It's not in the game yet, but they are planning to add the 4th profession, so you can choose another one. And that will most likely be locked behind mithril coins, but if people want to unlock 4, you can buy that 4th slot in the future. Some people might remember how the main stat changes were planned for update 37. Those were put on hold, but it seems like they are coming with update 38, although they have been modified slightly. So one really big change is to Vitality. Vitality currently on live gives different values for every single class, but this has now been normalized. Every class will get 4.5 morale per Vitality, so every single class now gets the same amount of morale from Vitality, making Vitality the same value for every single class. But like I said, every class now has the main stat changes. But I'm not really going to talk much about the main stats. We all know that one stat, like the main stat, will be the best typically for that class, while the other 2 should also give some value. So instead of talking about the stats for every single class, I'm simply just going to show all the different stats for all the different classes. These are the stats for Guardian, these are the stats for Hunter, these are the stats for Minstrel, these are the stats for Warden, these are the stats for Loremaster, these are the stats for Champion, these are the stats for Burglar, these are the Rune-Keeper stats, these are the Bjorning stats, these are the Captain stats, these are the Brawler stats, and these are the Mariner stats. So we've finally come to what I promised to talk about more later in the video, and this is the new type of socketed essences. And some of the new gear we get in the next expansion and the next level cap might have some different type of essence slots on them. As you can see, there's a blue, there's a green, and there's an orange. Orange means that this is still the normal essence type. Any essence goes here. All the ones at the top are considered normal essence type, but the green and the blue are different. The blue one is a main stat slot. So as you can see, the might, agility, and will, they have a socket type primary. So the blue is a primary essence slot. So in this slot, you have to equip might, agility, or will. So whichever is the best for your class, obviously, is the one you want to pick. And then the green is called a vital slot. You can see that fate and vitality have the socket type vital. Basically, what this means is that if you get gear that has a blue essence slot, it means you have to slot a main stat. If you get gear that has any green essence slots, it means you have to put vitality or fate. If you get the orange slot, it means you can select from any of these essences at the top. Some gear might just have one orange, some gear might have a blue and orange. We don't really know how all the gear pieces look, but at least now you know that if there's a blue essence slot, you have to put main stat. If there's a green, you have to do vitality or fate. If it's orange, you can do any of the other essences. Some general changes to stats and some classes to mention. The critical rating cap has been increased, so you'll need to get more critical rating than before to reach the cap. But on the other hand, the critical magnitude cap has been lowered, so it'll be easier for you to reach those numbers. It will be harder to reach the critical rating cap, but easier to reach the dev mag and crit mag cap. And to help along with this, any critical rating gear, traits that give you critical rating, and effects that give you critical rating have been increased. So overall, it shouldn't feel that much different than before. Armor values on gear has been reduced somewhat, especially when it comes down to shield. It has been taken down quite a bit. The reason for this is that reaching the physical mitigation cap was way too easy. For example, for shield tanks like the Guardian, your heavy armor, like your armor rating alone and the shield armor rating, would pretty much cap you on your Fistmit just from the armor value. So the armor value overall for all armor and gear has been reduced. We also have a universal change to all melee classes. The standard melee skill range is now 4 meter. As you can see on my Guardian, all my skills are 4 meter range. So single target skills should have a 4 meter range, while AoE skills should have a 5 meter range, such as Vexing Blow and Sweeping Cut. So any standard melee skills will have 4 meter range, and AoE skills will have slightly longer range of 5 meters. As you can see, when I back off from the dummy, most of my skills go red. Can't use them, but my AoE skills can still be used since they are 5 meters. And then once I back up even further, they are also out of range. So for every melee class in the game, standard single target will be 4 meter and AoE will be 5 meters. Some AoE melee skills will also have their base target numbers increased for their AoE. Bjornings will gain 1 meter extra melee range when they're in bear form, down from 2 meters. And the Brawler Tracery that affects melee range has been changed to instead buff your aggressive posture damage. For the Captain class, if you trade into the Leader of Men in yellow line, most of your skills that deal damage should now give you increased threat. We can see that there's a tag added to most skills, slightly increased threat. So Captain should be able to hold aggro more easily than before by dealing damage with their skills. The other note is that the Impactful Blows trait has now been fixed. I believe on live it got nerfed down to 6% or something like that, but it's back up to 10%. For a champion, if you spec into the Martial champion into blue line, same thing as the Captain, most of your damaging skills will give increased threat. As we can see, slightly increased threat being shown on your damage skills. So it should be easier for a blue champion to hold aggro as well by dealing damage with their skills. For the Mariner class, we have a few changes as well. Traits that will increase your healing have been increased in their potency, such as this one and this one. All your outgoing healing modifier traits that increase your healing have been buffed. The crit defense debuff from the North Wind has been increased from 3% to 5%. The bug that was happening in yellow line, where after using lunge it goes on a 1 minute cooldown, it should only go on a 1 minute cooldown if you do the combo for the fellowship maneuver, but there was a bug making it go on a 1 minute cooldown regardless. This has been fixed, and yellow should feel a lot nicer. And the final change is to the skill Flesh. As people might know, on live, Flesh will actually shoot you forward, like boom, forward and then backwards, kind of in like a laggy motion. This has simply been removed. The Flesh throwing your character forward was simply too hard to control. Sometimes you would use Flesh and go in front of a boss and take damage from the frontal. This has now been changed. I'm going to use Flesh. It no longer moves your character. This is Flesh. It's a simple stab now without moving your character around. And I think that was a good change because Flesh was proving to be more problematic than good. For the Rune-Keeper, one change: the concession and rebuttal can no longer be used out of combat, and the description no longer says that it requires attunement. So when I try to use CNR out of combat, it simply says the target must be in combat. So CNR must be used in combat. If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like and subscribing, as it really helps out the channel. And if you like LOTRO, I would really recommend joining my Discord servers. You can also support me directly through my Ko-fi website. If you're playing or looking to play Lord of the Rings online, there is one place you need to be. The Ghyniverse! The Ghyniverse is a Discord server created for the community of the players of Lord of the Rings Online. The server is getting close to 7,000 members, and in this server you'll find tons of helpful information. There's monthly giveaways, easy access to patch notes, you can keep up with my YouTube videos, my streams. If you're a streamer, you can ask for the streamer role and you can announce your streams in the other stream channel. There are discussion channels for pretty much everything, every class, monster players. But the best thing about this server is probably the Gearing Resources tab, where you can find anything from trait lines for every class, every build. There are stat goals, where you can find out what stats you should aim for on your characters. Really helpful information about drop rates from instances, as well as screenshot from all the new loot that appears in the game. If you enjoy LOTRO, you should definitely consider joining this server, and hopefully I'll see you in Middle Earth. If you were part of the Ghyniverse already, you might have noticed that another tab appeared at the top, the LFF server. This server is a brand new server that I created, the LFF Ghyniverse. In this server, you can select which servers you want to keep up with, and once you select your server, say you select Arkenstone, you will see the LFF, the kinship advertisement, looking for kinship and trade channels, and there's also voice channels if people want to use those. The LFF channel is basically a looking for fellowship channel where people can post if they need players for the runs, and this way people don't have to be logged into the game to see the chat, they can just instead get a notification on their Discord. There's also a kinship advertisement page where kins can post their kinship advertisement and have people join their kins, and you can also post in the looking for kinship chat if you're looking for a kinship, but make sure to take a look in the kinship advertisement first and look through all the kin to find a suitable kin for you. There's also a trade channel if people want to buy or sell stuff that you can use. Hopefully you'll consider joining this server to bring the community even more together, not just in the game, but also outside of the game.